Hello, hello, hello. A very warm welcome to all our friends, viewers, stakeholders, fans of African Rise with Susan West. It's been such a very long time. We haven't been able to access our Facebook pages. So we've been broadcasting to YouTube in the past, couple of weeks. And I'm very happy that I've got access back to my Facebook page because I know we have a very large family on Facebook and I'm very happy to see you. And I do hope that you are happy to see me here again. So, of course, this was supposed to be a planned broadcast, but it was kind of an impromptu one with His Majesty, the King of Numidia, as guest. We will be talking about the award given to him by President Joe Biden of the United States of America, and of course, the revolution happening on the African continent. I have a little bit of a difficulty. I can see him waiting in the wings, but for some technical reasons, he's unable to turn on his camera. So, just to give you a little feel of what I'm talking about, that's him on the screen, but it's blank. So, we probably just have him on the phone listening to his voice talking, kind of. So if you haven't liked, followed, subscribed to our channels, please do so. Is Africa Rice TV on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. All right. So the topic of the day is President Joe Biden's award to King of Numi and the African Revolution. So I'm just going to get him. He is on the phone as well. I'm going to get him to do a little intro first. Good evening, Your Majesty.
Yes, I'm here.
Right, so I'm actually live, and hopefully, the people can hear your voice. Just welcome to Africa Rice TV once again. We've had you here just a couple of weeks ago, and very pleased to have you back. And unfortunately, that you're unable to um, fully access our platform or our studio. But really quickly, just in a nutshell, we'll probably do a little talk over the phone. Can you go ahead and just give us a little intro of what is that was about the reason President Joe Biden gave you the award that you received recently?
Yes. Um, Thank you for having me again on your show. I'm very honored to be here. Um, about the award that the President Biden, Presidential Volunteer Service Award for the Humanitarian Work, is based on the work that the kingdom and the people within the kingdom that works out in the global community, dealing with the projects that help people in their communities. I wasn't looking for it to happen. I was speaking about the situation with people who are not recognized, do not have a voice. People such as in Great Britain, such as in America, that people look down on people in certain communities because of something could be economic problems, it could be social problems, and dealing in different societies. Some people think they're better because they status of finance or education, and I spoke heavily about you could call it identity racism, and I spoke highly about it because a lot of people cannot blame the situation, or they cannot blame the situation on government. They cannot blame the situation on different societal groups. And it really, you have to look at the individual. How can they change their atmosphere? How can they change their lifestyle? And you cannot blame the mother, father. Sometimes we have to look at the situation that we're in, choices that we make. And for us to be a diaspora, for us to be a large majority of people in America in the diaspora who always want to point fingers, sometimes we have to look at our own self and point blame at ourselves, because the civil rights had happened, the civil rights movement had happened. That freed a lot of oppressed against. Now we have a situation where we have our own power. and having our own empowerment with the do things as a collective body. And I spoke highly about how we can come together as a people and also work with our differences with other groups of people and come together and build a strong bridge between the continent that we call African and then we talk about the African diaspora, the six regions of Africa, America. So I spoke highly about that, and I'm very passionate about it.
So, what do you mean about when you talk about identity racism? What does that really mean?
Well, we talk when you racism is just not a color. It could be a financial issue. It could be an economic issue, and a lot of time when you say economic issue, prime example, we see Africa. Africa is very wealthy on natural resources. But at the same time, the ones who are going against Africa, the ones in power over Africa, put people in an unbalanced situation. And for a country to be so wealthy in natural resources, but the economic development or finance for that country is in poverty. The country is in poverty. The government is in poverty. But the country is rich in natural resources. So that's what I said. That's what I say economic racism. That's how I put it.
Right. So, because of what you've just said, I just wanted to pick your brain on whether or not you're very well educated on the issues going on the continent right now, as far as what some people might call a coup d'état and others call a revolution for the mother continent. What is it exactly that you have or you know about it, and what is your perspective on the issue on ground right now in Africa, in countries like Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali?
Well, I'm gonna be very careful to speak on that topic because I do have associates and friends in collaboration, but I won't call it a coup. I won't call it what they classify it as. You have a group of people that have been reaching out to the leaders, saying that they are in poverty, they are hurting, they're starving to death, they're dying. Our country is very rich. Why are we going through this? So I believe that the gentlemen that did what they had to do for the betterment of the country and for their people. A coup is not a good name to classify. You might call it a revolution, but I would call it change of power. And I'll leave it like that. And power need to be for the people. And if they are moving for the people, they have my full support. Because the other governments of the world was not for the people, they was only for themselves and taking care of their own people and not taking care of the people that was given them their natural resources. And frankly, it was given to them because it was actually the prices of changing of goods and services was not fair. Now you for that.
Your Majesty, I just also wanted to ask, with your position and your circle of influence, have you got the ears of the President of the United States? And if you do, how are you using that, position to make him better understand the thinking and the mindset of the people in Africa?
Well, technically, I don't have the ear of the President of the United States, and he have his own ear. He have his own way of thoughts and all that. He have his own advisors, and he have the people that he works with. But he should have a concern because of interest, and if the interest is right for the betterment of Africa, then he have my ear. But other than that, I respect Biden. I respect his ability to bring balance, but at the same time, there's other people in the wings to feel that they could do it better. And I have a person next to me, and his name is Al Bartel, who's a candidate that running for president. And I have his ear, and he have my ear, and he's for the independent voice. He's there for the people who need that help. He's there for the global community and also economic development to make sure that country is equally balanced for goods and services. If you have that time, I would love to introduce you to distinguished gentleman, Mr. Bartel.
I'll be very happy to speak to Mr. Batel now if he's ready to speak to me, because I want to find out on what platform he is running for the president of America, the United States, and what his plan will be eventually if he is put in a position where he has to build, create certain kind of policies that will affect the mother continent.
Fair enough. Yes, I'll be glad to apply the lab to speak.
All right.
Hello, this is Al Bartel. It's
Hi.
good to hear from you.
Nice to talk to you. All right. My name is Susan. It's quite impromptu, and but we just take it as it goes on. So I've been introduced. I've been told about you. His Majesty told me about you running for president of the United States of America, and I was very glad. However, we don't know very much about yourself and on what platform you are looking to run for the office of the president. Could you tell us about a little more about yourself and what you intend to do?
Absolutely. I am an independent candidate, which means I'm interested in neighborhood leaders, community leaders, faith leaders, and small business leaders having the same access to government as lobbyists, business interest groups, and corporations. The only way to do that in America is to establish an independent campaign. We're clear that the Republican and Democratic Party control the election process. In America in the 21st century, we're interested in freedom of the people. And currently, the only way to do that is to establish an independent candidate. The Republican and Democratic Party are not interested in that. They're trying to block us from being on the ballot. But we're clear that the heart and minds of the American people is now ready to have an independent third choice for the American presidency. And I'm interested in that movement in America in the 21st century. I'm a public policy leader for over 40 years. I am a military veteran. I am trained in conflict management and public policy management, and I'm offering my service to the American people.
Right, thank you for that. And I assume that you're African American. And if you are, and you had an opportunity to be the president of the United States, what will be the sort of foreign policy that you have as far as Africa is concerned?
As an African American and as a person who's clear that the African American experience, the Black experience in America, is now known as the sixth region of Africa. It is time for African Americans to come forward, recognize that, and dismantle the colonial system that is only in place to further colonialism. The African leadership has been hijacked. It is only leadership by proxy now. So we have people in Africa that are saying to the African American population, you must stand up for this. As the sixth region of Africa, you must take this on, and it's time for you to provide leadership from America. As the African American Black president, I can put policies in place to begin to dismantle the colonialism, not only in America, but across the globe. As president of the United States, I can negotiate partnerships and establish networks that bring about the kingdoms of Africa to their birthright and to be able to manage and control their own resources. And as soon as I get to be president, it's the first executive order that I shall put forward on foreign policy.
That sounds like music to my ears. And finally, I wanted to ask, what is your observation or perspective on the current issues going on the continent of Africa in countries like Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, where the military have taken over the as the leadership of the country, and the people have they have the support of the people.
The leadership has the support of the people. It is a step in the right direction of confronting neo-colonialism. It's no longer acceptable that the colonists, by practicing, still govern Africa. And if it takes a coup to get the attention of international players, then let that be done. And I fully support the initiative actions, and I am a champion for the people in Africa taking their power back.
Thank you. And one more thing. How have you? Do you have any ideas of how you can how there can be a conduit of how the diaspora connects with the mother continent and making the mother continent their home.
We have the capacity to do roundtable discussions, development sessions, summits, and conferences. We have the technology to do that. We must now make sure that it gets down to every village in Africa that does not have that technology. The Black African Americans in the United States can put forward the kind of leadership with African brothers and sisters to make this happen. The timing is right, the technology available. What's missing is leadership. So as a candidate, I'm going to call for those kind of global summits. I'm going to call for those roundtable discussions. I'm going to call for those summits and conferences so that we can talk across the Atlantic to our brothers and sisters and move this movement forward in the dawn of the 21st century. I can do that now as an independent candidate for president of the United States of America.
Everything you've said sounds like music to our ears, and thank you so much. And I do hope that we're able to have this conversation again at a time where we're able to have you on the screen as well. It's my pleasure meeting you.
Likewise, I'm going to return the phone to the king so he can bid you adieu.
Thank you.
Okay.
And Your Majesty, can you give your
Yes.
final thoughts? We will make sure that the broadcast doesn't go on for too long. And so your final thoughts on the topic of today.
Yes. I believe that we should be there for our brothers and sisters there in Africa, plus our brothers and sisters here in America, and also in Great Britain. So whatever our brothers and sisters globally, well, we should be there for one another. We should put our differences aside dealing with our backgrounds. We should put our differences aside about who we are, where we come from, our differences aside about religion, our spirituality. And I always say, we strive to build something to fly to another planet. Once we accomplish it going somewhere else, we still have problems here. It don't make any sense to spend billions and billions of dollars on technology. It's not going to benefit for humanity on this planet. If we go to another planet and mess that up. So we need to fix our problems before we go with preaching humanity and we are peaceful people to another planet or to another different indigenous species. To me, it don't make any sense. And I leave this message that unity always needs to be regardless of where we come from, our skin color, because we all humans on a planet that was given to us by the Most High. So that's why I leave you.
Thank you so very much, Your Majesty, the King of Numidia. Sorry, I was trying to remember all of your names. It's quite long. King Mohadib, is it Mohadib El Osiris? Nice to talking to you again, and hopefully we'll have this conversation on a day where we have access to have you on the screen. Have a good evening from London.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That's a very short broadcast. We've never had quite a short one, but I think there was a lot of information information and insight given in that very short conversation. So, of course, I'd like for us to have had this conversation even longer, but we'll reschedule. As far as what's going on the continent of Africa, we can already see the amount of support that ordinary people all around the world, even in Europe, have given or have for Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. Surprise, surprise. It's only the government of these countries that are shying away from, tackling the issues head on and be brave enough to accept that the time is now and enough is enough. And Africa and Africans have come of age, and they have taken their destinies in their own hands. And of course, it would be quite embarrassing. This is a situation that nobody can come out in their right minds to defend what France has been doing on the continent of Africa. And I'm so glad that we've had opportunity to educate ourselves on social media to the point where even African Americans and all Africans in the diaspora are very well aware of the situation and the reasons why Africa remains as though she could never fly. So now is the time we take our destiny in our hands, and we'll do it one step at a time using our minds and our brains, and no blood spilling. We will conquer without spilling of bloods and without war. We will teach the world how to settle and conquer without all of that. Okay? We will conquer. We will win. In the end, we will know that there was a time and a season for everything, and that time will be now for Africa. So let's keep supporting Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali as they take control of their countries from the imperialists, colonizers who pretended to have left but never did leave. And like Dr. Arikana Chayombo Requires said, this is not a coup, it is a revolution. Let's support a revolution that allows us to have a destiny that is promising as Africans. Have a very good night. My name is Susan West. See you next weekend, God willing. If you haven't liked, followed, or subscribed to any of our channels, please do so. It is Africa Rice TV on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Like, follow, subscribe, touch the bell button, and so that you are made aware when we do come live. I love you all and see you next weekend. Bye bye.